What's up, people? Yeah, today I'm going to talk about how I got into YouTubing, to doing the YouTube thing. I'm doing this while I'm driving to my, I won't call him editor's house, to the guy who polishes my videos. He subtitles for me. Today I'm teaching him how to balance audio so I don't have to do that. Subtitling and balancing audio, you think psychologically you're done editing once you get the entire thing pieced together. You get all the music in, you get all the cuts where they need to be, all the fucking fades. You think you're done, but you're not fucking done. There's still another 3, 4, 5 hours of work lurking, and it's always the worst part because there's no creative merit to it. I'm sorry, I'm driving and I'm trying to adjust settings here. There's no creative merit to that part that I'm now outsourcing, and it used to make me want to get the gun I keep next to my bed, spin the cylinder, put it up to my temple, and pull the trigger, which would be guaranteed death because I always keep 6 rounds in there. Yeah, I didn't like doing it. And that's, whenever my videos would come out on Friday instead of Thursday, it was always because of that last 10% of editing, which makes me want to commit 90% of my suicide. Or makes me, okay, this is dangerous. This is high-level multitasking, people. So yeah, I'm just bombing through the LA streets. I don't know how much of this you're gonna be able to see right now, but I'm in LA and I'm driving through traffic. The only redeeming factor here is it's no longer morning rush hour. So how I got into YouTube. Let's talk about this. This is gonna be good. So I'm reading a book right now called Mastery by Robert Greene, and something he talks about is how to find your life's path. You need to pay close attention to what you were into during childhood, and more importantly, what you were good at during childhood. And for me, I took very seriously any kind of writing assignment I had in elementary school. I remember 3rd grade, I'd write these comedic little short stories about space bugs, and they would go fight their little adventures, have their comic fucking fiascos. And then another one I did in 4th grade was about a dingo who had a flying helmet that was chained to him, and they were a crime fighting outfit. So those were 2 examples of just early little comic shitty things I did. And eventually, once I got into high school, I started putting out stunt videos a la Jackass, and I made a YouTube video out of one of those. You guys, if you're hardcore, you might have seen it. It's the I found my high school videos video. It's a good one. It's a fan favorite. But what I'm getting at here is I did basically what I do today. I've been doing that since I was a very young child. I was telling my good friend recently, this guy Tim, that because him and I used to be in a band where we wrote songs about fucking animals, and we would play them live for the high school. And until Iggy called out sick or had to go to work and not come to our shoot, we were gonna go record a song about a guy who had a dog that dug up dead bodies so he could fuck him. So, and the original dog fucking and animal fucking songs my buddy and I recorded were in 2004, 2005, and just nothing has changed. I'm doing the same thing. So back to the original point. I got into YouTube because it was just a continuation of the shit I was doing in childhood, and I knew that my life's purpose lay in writing comedy and performing comedy somehow. I didn't know originally it wasn't going to be YouTube, though. What I was into, well, I don't know. I guess I got to back up a little bit. Because I was in college. I buried all the comedy, all the writing, all the high school video, horseplay. I just pretended that wasn't a thing in my life anymore. And I decided I was going to go to college and be white collar and be respectable and make lots of money in the standard fashion of doing so. And I went to UCLA. I tried it for a little bit. And I was a bitter piece of shit the entire time I was there. I didn't know why at first. I was getting in fights. I was just like banging chicks, kicking them out of my room, just not getting along with anybody around me in my fraternity and my classes. I was a piece of garbage. And looking back now, I realized because it was because I was profoundly unhappy with what I was doing, trying to fit myself into the mold of being this academic lawyer kid, which I never was. I transferred to UCLA. All the other kids there were bred for it. They didn't stay out past 6 p.m. their entire kindergarten through senior year of high school. They were playing like 3 sports on the yearbook committee, getting 4.2 GPAs. That wasn't me. I was a fucking animal. I got kicked out of high school. I only got into UCLA because I got it together for 2 years and tried hard in my community college. So I became disillusioned with all of that, and I had an epiphany my senior year of college. I wasn't on drugs, actually. I was just drunk in Tahoe. It was 2012 New Year turning into 2013. And I sat there in the bed and I was like, I want to become a comedy writer. And I started crying when it happened. Because it felt, I mean, at the time it would be easy to just dismiss that as a drunken whim, but there was something that felt so serious about it, and I knew it wasn't going to be a whim or just something that I abandoned in a couple months. It felt so profound that I just started weeping. And I haven't seriously considered changing course ever since. The form it originally took, I started writing books, or I wanted to write books. And I had a little website for a while. It was called themullenmode.com. It's actually still up. And there I would publish little humorous essays. A lot of them had to do with trying to get laid and shit and picking up chicks, because that's what I was into when I was a douchey college guy. I'm still into it now, but I don't try very hard is the only difference. I'm lazy. I send a girl a message on Instagram, and if she doesn't respond, and then there's no big deal. And if she wants to go like hiking or do some activity, I tell her to fuck off. I only have the energy to drink beer inside my house now with girls. I'm the least romantic person one could imagine. Where was I? What was I talking about? I was talking about a thing. Oh yeah, writing those little humorous essays. And eventually it turned into publishing books on Amazon, because I would share my essays. Wait, 1 second, gotta adjust brightness here. I would share my essays on Craigslist. The first bit of positive encouragement I ever got was on Craigslist. I wrote one of my stories, and somebody, an anonymous person, who I guess I wish I knew who they were so I could send some sort of thank you, but they said, "You're a talented writer. You should start writing books and putting them up on Amazon." So it wasn't long after I wrote my first book, built off an essay I had written, or a little short story. It was the Happy Endings Playbook about getting jerked off at massage parlors. I had this rich buddy who I'm still friends with. He's actually one of my wretched captains on here, one of the $25 people. He would come over to our house when I lived in Sacramento and lived with some buddies. 8 p.m. on a weeknight, just look around the house and ask anybody there, like, "Hey, you guys want to go get jerked off?" That was his thing. He loved going to get the massages, and he loved getting these probably illegal immigrant Asian women to give him hand jobs. And there's a huge underworld. I'm not going to get into it too deep, but it's a serious business, these jerk-off parlors. And I wrote the entire book on it. And some parts of it might be a little corny, or my comedic sense wasn't too developed back then. Sometimes I'd try a little hard, or I'd commit to some kind of gag in the writing that wasn't that funny. But I think overall, it's a fun little read. It holds up. And I put that out, and all of these books, when I put them out, got zero traction. I think I made like $22 off that first book, and I told everybody I'd ever met to buy it. My mom was helping peddle it to our relatives, which is embarrassing, because it's about getting jerked off by immigrant Asian women. I had everybody in my fraternity, I tried to get them to buy it. All my social media people made like $22. The next one I wrote was called When Your Girlfriend Bangs a Black Dude, it's a shorter one. It's an essay, and it's really, really good. I think that holds up as some of the best stuff I've written. And it's about being insecure because my girlfriend, this might come as a surprise for you because I know the title's really subtle. She banged a black dude with a huge cock. And it details my psychological breakdown I had about that, a bunch of insecurity, and I wrote about it very honestly, and I put it out there for the world, which was a brave thing to do, but people really responded to it. And on Twitter, I did this thing on Twitter where I would just follow like 300, 400 people every day, and maybe 20, 30 of them would follow me back, and then I would just unfollow all the people who didn't follow me back, and that was how I built my original audience. And I had that When Your Girlfriend Bangs a Black Dude story pinned to the top of my Twitter page, and it was easy for people to understand. I got some really funny fucking artwork done for it, and it drove my early audience a lot. Like, it built my early audience, because when some jerk off follows you on Twitter, you're not going to follow back. But if you look at his page and there's an illustration of two black dudes cradling a white girl, and there's a little white guy running from a giant towering penis, which is what is on the front of that book, you're going to be intrigued. And then I made damn sure that when you start reading that fucking book, it hits hard in the first couple paragraphs. It's a really entertaining, doesn't let you go, grabs you by the fucking throat read. And people responded to it. But still, there was no money coming in, not nearly enough to support myself. It was just purely the motivation to keep going based on this little audience of maybe 300 people who cared what I was doing. I put one more book out after that, which is maybe my masterwork as far as the writing is concerned. It was called Home. Home is an account of the summer I spent at home in 2013 after I graduated from college. And the reason I felt it important to write about that time was I didn't have anything going in my life. I was dead broke, living with my parents, had no career direction, when all of my other friends were getting into Columbia Law School, going to University of San Francisco Medical School, or just getting jobs that paid six figures right out of college. I was just completely unemployed. I didn't think about getting a job until the November after I'd graduated. So I spent about 5 months unemployed, and then the job I eventually did get was a bouncing job that paid minimum wage. So I was so dedicated to the writing thing, and I just had this ridiculous blind optimism that it was gonna work out when there was no concrete evidence that that was gonna be the case. But while I was home too, I was drinking my ass off because I was depressed about my lack of career opportunities, it wasn't the lack of career opportunities I was depressed about. I just felt no self-worth because nobody else really believed in the writing thing. None of my friends did. They thought I was fucking up. My parents thought I was fucking up. So I just drank a lot that summer, and I went around the property just destroying things. I would go trash can bowling, which by myself. I would drink a 12-pack, drive down the street, reach out the window, grab people's trash cans that were stationed on the side of the road, and just drag them and release them and let them fly and hit other cars and do a bunch of damage. We blew up a mailbox. I graffitied my old high school. I was an animal. I was out of control. We did the cum omelet, which might be the best part of that book. We fried up our ejaculate after me and a bunch of buddies jerked off in a frying pan and fed it to her. That's all at home. Great book. The deepest fears and insecurities in my body were released on the page. So it was a really compelling read, I thought. Put it out there, sold like 6 copies. And that was in 2016. It was about the summer of 2013, but it was in 2016 when I wrote that. Sold 6 copies, and I realized right then, dude, you gotta make a change. You're 25, 26 years old, about to be 27 actually at that point. You got no money, you're working at shitty little restaurants. What are you gonna do, man? Like, the writing thing's cool, but maybe the books, I mean, you've given them a lot of time, they haven't worked out. It's time to find a new avenue to apply your writing. And this was the plan A, was to be a writer, but maybe we're gonna have to sacrifice some of, sacrifice something and maybe drop down to plan B or C. Maybe be a copywriter. Maybe work at some company writing corporate bullshit for them. Just do something still writing related, but release the ego a little bit and understand I wouldn't be able to do exactly what I wanted to do in writing because I tried and I failed. So the solution was, or the compromise, I guess, was to be a TV writer. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go write for sitcoms. The way to do that, in my mind, was to apply to screenwriting school at UCLA, at USC. So I did. I spent the back quarter of 2016 writing those applications to those schools, and I got my heart set on it. I was studying TV writing, reading a ton of books, and that's when I moved down to Las Vegas, too. I moved down to Las Vegas at the very start of 2017. Got my rejection letters from both schools in about March of 2017. I'd said in the fucking When Your Girlfriend Bangs a Black Guy story, which is a great story, but I mean, those PC fucking pussies probably read 2 sentences of that and said, no, this guy is not getting into our fine institution. So I got rejected from there, and I had a job in Vegas at least. I was working at a casino, so at least I was stable. I had health insurance, I had money, so I had that going as far as my self-esteem was concerned. I'd never had that stable of a job before. But one of the books I actually read on screenwriting, it had a sentence in it that just stuck with me. The guy at the very end of the book, after you'd read everything else on form, on characters, on narrative, it said, don't write a script and try to expect to get it read. Nobody's gonna read your fucking shitty script. Get your camera phone, go out and rent a camera, and shoot your fucking script. Get your jerk-off cousin, get your alcoholic uncle, get your semen-filled horse neighbor's daughter, get her on fucking camera, shoot the thing. And if you have any talent, and if you have put out a 5-minute short, that's gonna be a lot easier. It's gonna be a lot easier to get signed or to get what you want off a video than it is off chopping a script around. That stuck with me. And then after that, within a week of that, I saw a YouTube ad for a course on how to be a YouTuber. It was run by the guys who did Simple Sexy, no, not Simple Sexy Stupid, they did Simple Pickup back in the day. It was this Indian kid and an Asian kid, Kong and Jesse. And I liked their channel when I was younger, when I was in college. So I was open to hearing what they had to say. And they just basically, they did a really good job with the advertisements. That I got sucked down the funnel. I dropped $1,000 on this course, which again, I had actually money back then, so I could do things like that. And I took it, and it was kind of helpful. It's hard to remember how much of it stuck with me, but what did stick with me was there was a Facebook segment. There was this Facebook hacker guy. He broke down how to subtitle, how to make your videos square. On Instagram and Facebook, the ratio is square instead of rectangular, like on its side, like it is on YouTube. So those were little tricks. You make it square so it takes up more space on the screen as people are scrolling. You subtitle because people watch videos on their phone without any sound, things like that. And that all clicked for me, and that made sense. So I started focusing on Facebook was my next move. I would go shoot videos in Las Vegas, and the good news was at that point I'd had enough experience writing comedy that the jokes were there. I had the chops, so I could go out and do one of those shitty fucking street interview videos that every jerk-off YouTuber with no talent does, where they stick a mic in a girl's face and ask her if she likes getting her pussy licked. I could do those, but I used it as a vehicle for comedy. I had all my jokes, I had props. And thankfully, I lived in this place where it was super easy to go film that kind of content. I was in Vegas Tunnel. I'm dark now. And my buddy Adam Fu, you might recognize from a couple of the Vegas videos. He's popped up 5, 6, 7 times. He was the guy who went out there and held the camera for me for free in the early days. Bless him. He really encouraged me to go out there and get my start. And I started shopping these videos around. I did what the course told me to do. I wish I could, his name is James, the guy who was like the Facebook hacker expert. But he said, shop these videos around to big pages that need content. I did. I just spammed all these big pages. One of them called The Wall of Comedy. They were UK based. They got back to me. They said, hey dude, we like this video you did about teaching guys about women's sexuality, or asking guys about women's sexuality. And they reposted it, and I got my first 1,000 likes on my Facebook page. They kept reposting my shit that I would send them. I got up to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. I got to like 7,000 likes on my page, and I thought I'd made it. I quit my job. I moved back to Sacramento to save money, and I was like, I'm going at it full time. 7,000 likes on my Facebook page. The thing about Facebook, though, is you get your likes, but 7,000 likes on Facebook is the equivalent of like 100 subscribers on YouTube. It's a very non-dedicated audience on Facebook and Instagram. They don't know who you are. They just saw something in their feed. They thought it was kind of funny one day, and they clicked like. So that was a problem, first of all. I didn't have a loyal audience. But then also, Facebook was going through some kind of scandal for sharing data and for some advertisement bullshit. I don't remember all the details. But what they did to combat their failing image was they cut the reach on any kind of page or content that wasn't your friends or family in the algorithm. So what that means is if you like a bunch of pages, you liked the band Incubus, you like Krispy Kreme donuts, and you like Danny Mullen comedy, Facebook deprioritized Krispy Kreme, Incubus, Danny Mullen comedy so that you see more of your fucking high school friends when they get some girl pregnant in their hometown and they get married. You see those notifications more than any of the other ones. So overnight, my videos went from getting like 60,000 views every time I posted them, because they would go, it's really easy to go viral on Facebook. They'd go from that level to about 300 views when I post a video. It was a devastating loss of reach, devastating loss of views. And I remember I went to go see, the night that I figured that out, the day I posted a video, and it went from me expecting to get 60,000 views on it, I instead got 300. I was going to go see Bill Burr, the comedian. And my dad and I went. We'd had it planned for weeks, and I was so miserable the entire show. I don't remember a word he said. And there were some talks at that point between my buddy and I about moving down to Los Angeles, and I'd kind of put it on the back burner. I wasn't interested because I didn't really have the money. But when that happened, it motivated me to be like, okay, I need to do something drastic, because now the writing thing fell apart, the Facebook thing fell apart. I gotta focus on YouTube now, and I'm gonna go down to Los Angeles. It's gonna be my last ditch effort at this. And if I go down to LA, I know it's gonna be way harder to back out. And I'm gonna commit to it. I'm gonna work harder every day. And that was totally the case. I came down to LA. I just fucking battled it. I went out to Venice Beach. I went to wherever I needed to go in the city with just a cameraman who I paid $50. And it was tough. Like it's so hard when you're starting up, because you talk to people on the streets and they ask you, they're like, what's your YouTube channel? I want to look you up. And you are afraid to tell them your YouTube channel because you get 100 views per video and you have 300 subscribers. It's really tough in the beginning. I don't fucking miss those days where I was just starting up. But then again, there was no pressure back then either. You can take 2 weeks off, release a video on a random day of the week. Nobody's bitching at you. You don't have all the haters in the fucking comments. So it was kind of a pure time in that way too. And I just kept on it. And what I was smart about is I kept doing those videos where I was basically just making out with chicks in order to get views. I did the old ladies one, the Walmart employees one, and the fast food workers one. And without those videos, I don't know what would happen. I don't know if I would have ever made it. I mean, the high school reunion video went viral too. But those kissing videos built me the original audience that gave me enough viewership once the high school reunion video came out for it to take off. Because right away it hit like 10,000 views just from my existing audience from the makeout videos. And then the algorithm, it could tell this was something people were clicking on and watching all the way through. So it started promoting it. And the difference between the high school reunion video and all the kissing videos is when people watched the high school reunion video, a lot of them hated my guts and thought I was a douchebag, and they thought it was the worst video they'd ever seen. But more people realized how ballsy of a stunt that was, and they liked what they saw, and they stuck around because they realized I wasn't too concerned about any kind of social repercussions for anything, and that appealed to them. And then from there, I kept pushing on and growing steadily. The Nelk thing was the next big fucking boom, which has taken me to where I am now. And that's how I got onto YouTube. And the plan now, guys, is I go through these periods where all I'm focused on is the art, and I just want to focus on my writing, and that's kind of one of those stages right now where my growth is slowed a little bit because I'm not out there doing those collaborations. I'm not engineering schemes to get more subscribers. But it's been a little while since the Nelk thing, so now I'm flying to Austin at the end of the month. I'm going to try to collaborate with Cassidy Campbell. Him and I have been talking. Some other guys in Austin, and I'm just going to keep weighing it. It's like it's a tough fucking game, YouTube, and you don't realize it until you're neck deep in it as your career. Like, you got to balance the creative side, the filming, the planning, with the business side, the merch, and then with the growth, too. You got to get out and find new fucking subscribers, because YouTube promotes your channel a little bit, but it's I don't know, it's like pushing somebody on a skateboard. You can push them so far, but eventually they're gonna run out of momentum and slow down. Like, I don't know how I landed on that fucking metaphor. If you're pushing your shitty 6th grade son on a skateboard and he's like half autistic and doesn't know how to push, you can push him, but eventually he's gonna roll and stop. But he's gotta figure out he's gotta learn how to push himself. That's how it works with the YouTube algorithm. They give you a boost. With the Nelk thing, all the Nelk people came over, and then YouTube saw the growth on my channel and started promoting my channel to more people. But then every day they promote your channel less and less, and it's up to you to go out there and seize viewership. And today, I guess I'm not really seizing viewership today. I'm just gonna go get some subtitles done, but I'm gonna go write, hopefully, a video that'll help me seize more viewership. We got a big one tomorrow, people. All right, guys, I hope that was a semi-coherent breakdown of why I am a faggy YouTuber. I hope that worked out. Forgive me, I was dodging traffic, dialing, adjusting dials. I was doing stuff. But yeah, guys, I'll talk to you next week. I'm going to stay consistent on this, a video a week for you guys here on Patreon.